welcome to a beautiful day on the Frankaboo Ranch. All right, so recently I fielded a lot of questions about temperature devices, what I use to temp my meat, so on and so forth. So I wanted to do a little segment here and show you guys what I use, what I've used in the past. Now, before I go into anything on this, let me just say there's a lot of really good products on the market today. I've not tested all of them, so I can't speak to them. But what I'm going to talk about today is some of the products that I have used and I do use. So years ago, I picked up the iGrill. Great little device. It's a Bluetooth controlled device. Now, there are a lot of Bluetooth controlled devices on the market. What I've found with the Bluetooth controlled devices is they put a lot of money and technology into the actual device itself, and they use the standard K-type thermocouple to check your temperature. Now, I'm a fan of the device. I'm not a fan of the K-type thermocouple because they don't they don't take the temperature correctly, or they fall out of calibration relatively easy. Now, like I said, there's a lot of them on the market. I haven't tested them all. I'm sure some of them are pretty outstanding. Just talking to what I have here. Now, the next thing we have is your standard just stab in, watch the little dial spin. These things are okay. They go out of calibration very fast and very easy, and once they're out, unless they have a movable outside ring, you cannot calibrate them. Now, with your K-type thermocouple with these, they'll plug directly into the Traeger. If you have a Wi-Fi enabled Traeger, you can sit there and watch it on your phone. The problem with these, like I've said before, I do not cook with the probe in the meat because it leaves a hole through the meat where it's cooked. If you're in competition, that's a big no-no, because what it's going to do is it's going to put a hole through the meat, and the judges are going to look at that and go, nope, and they're going to mark you down. So I learned a long time ago not to use those. If you're just cooking a pork butt and you want to go sit down and drink some beers and watch football all day, works great. Checking the calibration on these, I have not figured out how to do it on the Traeger. I'm sure you can. I haven't figured out how to adjust it or check the calibration so you can add an offset. Now, like I said, I've fielded a lot of questions from guys will message me on Facebook and say they followed the directions I put out and their pork's overcooked or their product is undercooked or overcooked, whatever. And I asked them if they'd use or if they've checked the calibration on the device, and they said no. So I wanted to show you guys what I use along with how to check your calibrations. So what I use is Thermopen. Now, I bought this Thermopen about 10 years ago, and it is by far the gold standard for checking temperature on your meat. It's called an insta-read because as soon as you put it into the meat, you get a reading of where you're at. And everybody's heard the old saying, if you're looking, you're not cooking. This you can get in and out super fast. If you don't have a double-walled insulated smoker like the Traeger I use here, all the rest of my smokers are not double-walled insulated. So you want to get in and out as quickly as possible. This is the only way to go. Now, like I said, I've had this thing for 10 years. And I check the calibration about once a year, and I've never once had to calibrate it, and I've only once had to replace the battery. So I wanted to show you guys how to check the calibration on your thermometers. First thing you want to do is get yourself a glass of ice water. Fill the glass up with ice as full as you can, and then with cold water. Put the tip of your thermocouple or your temperature probe into it. It should read 32 degrees plus or minus 0.5 or 1. Now, this is a 10-year-old thermometer, and it's reading 32.2. You don't get any more accurate than that. And that's why whenever anybody asks me what I use, I recommend Thermopen, because their devices last and they're accurate. I've never once had to calibrate this thing. I know you can do it, but every time I check it, like once a year, it's spot on. They've also got these fun little ones for your kids. If you've got a young one that's learning how to barbecue, you can get him a fun little, buy him a fun little thermometer where he can play with. If he breaks it, it's not a big deal. It's like 25 bucks. These things still work very well. It's also a great travel thermometer. You can hook it onto your key ring and off you go. So, like I said, I've said in the past, you get what you pay for. I can't recommend Thermopen highly enough. This is what we use here. I've used these for 10 years, and since I purchased this one, they've actually come light years in what they offer. You can have these things printed with your favorite teams, your football, NFL, hockey, whatever you want. You can put just about anything on them, so you can have a really super fancy looking thermometer that you're using at the field, at your friend's house, at your house, whatever you're doing. So there you go, guys. This is what I use. Like I said, do your research. But if you have the money, if you have 50 bucks to buy one, save another 50 and buy yourself a Thermopen, because I think after 10 years, I've got more than the amount of use out of this thing than the money I paid for it. So if you guys have any questions, message me on Facebook. Let me know what you think. Until next time, keep on smoking it.